What's going on, my PT peeps, my Walking Dead family, and my fighters? I'm One Eye Bri, also known as PT. Don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about Fear the Walking Dead. Well, the entire Walking Dead universe. But did you catch these things in Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 8? So obviously spoiler warning for all things Walking Dead, and also mature content warning. And I really hope you saw Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 8, as we're going to break it down, review it, recap it, but mainly focus on some Easter eggs and things you may have missed in the episode. But for all things Walking Dead, if you love the Walking Dead universe like we do, hit that subscribe button to become a valued member of our PT channel, Walking Dead family, today. Now, John Dory was focused on this episode. It was his death episode. It's a shame because we love him. But the opening credits, the opening sequence, was him on a bridge, which is definitely a callback and Easter egg to Rick Grimes in Season 9, Episode 5, especially with the walkers and just the gun and just the portrayal of it. Just reminds me so much of it. We're still waiting on Rick Grimes to return to the Walking Dead universe in some way, shape, or form. We've had breadcrumbs, but we want some more to it. Rick Grimes, John Dory, I see a lot of similarities, and some people took that as an insult to Rick Grimes. I don't know why, both are beloved characters, but John Dory on a bridge, Rick Grimes on a bridge. You don't want to be a doctor in the world of Walking Dead, but also you don't want to be around a teenage girl with a gun. Just don't be around it. Just kidding, of course. Also, look at the red Jeep there. We'll highlight there in a second. But Dakota shoots John Dory, shocked, can't believe it, right? The teenager that shot John Dory, the placement of the bullet, man, reminds us so much of comic Rick, right? Different circumstances, but not really. A teenager shoots a beloved character, the placement of the shot, the circumstances are different, of course, but I see it as an Easter egg to Sebastian shooting Rick. A lot of people are wondering if that's going to happen in Season 11 of The Walking Dead in the Commonwealth, but John died, Rick didn't, so that's a big difference. And so it's just some similarities, but the body floating down the river and washing up ashore is another callback with John and Rick, right? He floated down the river and came up on that little sandy bank there, the embankment. And it's a shame that John didn't live, but Rick did. It's just like, man, right? It's a big, impactful death, but I see some similarities there. Rick was injured. He was saved. There's no CRM coming to save John Dory, but also on Talking Dead, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. The movie that's playing in the background while John Dory cleans his guns is called Meet John Doe, and it's the same movie that John and June watched in Season 4, Episode 5, when John met June and started this whole romance. And John getting the movies out of the general store, the beer and bait tackle shop, and turned into a general store, was connected with the character. And I have to say, I do like the John and June story. Some people don't, but we clearly know they played Scrabble, and that was evident in the episodes. We saw the Scrabble tiles, but if you look closely at the board, we see it again. John was having a message for June, and it was their little inside love language with the Scrabble tiles. But if you look closely at the board, you can see the board and the tiles right here are in good shape. But here, John made the message, goodbye June, with the Scrabble tiles. But look at the top of the photo, you see the Scrabble board. It's broken. Symbolism. John Dory was in the canoe going down the river or down the stream, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to say river. We saw the same canoe in Season 4, Episode 5 that we saw in Season 6, Episode 8. So it's a lot of callbacks and connections in Season 4, Episode 5 and Season 6, Episode 8. And I thought both were pretty good. Both episodes are really good. Also, you notice the bike is not there, but it's there. So who was there? Were there people coming around there over the time? You know, just stuff has happened in the zombie apocalypse. Now, when John Dory takes out the walkers like he does, he has a 6-shooter. 6 bullets fit in this gun, right? But when he points his gun at the walkers with the one gun, you can see the 6 bullets right there, he goes boom, 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 boom. And I believe it's 7 shots with the one gun, and then he holsters it and takes out this walker with the other gun. Reminds me a lot of the shotgun that was never ending. Herschel was like, it was just never ending. And maybe it's a mishap, maybe I miscounted, but I just see a somewhat connection there too. But John makes it back to the general store again. It's a nice callback to Season 4, Episode 5 when John's getting the movie here. But he goes back in here and he doesn't know what's going on here. But it's funny because when he walks into the general store and he walked in there, he sees the blood. He says, you know, at the front of the door, I don't want no trouble, but I'll give you some, or something like that, right? He talks about trouble and he walks down slowly and slowly. And then the first person he sees is ultimately the trouble Dakota, who shoots him later on the episode. So it was foreshadowing that I saw. Look at all the red objects around the store. They're all over this episode, whether you believe in that theory or not. Not sure what to make of the books on the stand right here. Anybody know a different theory about that? Or the books, but Morgan is wounded again, and he's in a general store again inside a shop, just like he was in season 6, episode 1. And I believe his name was Isaac. I could be wrong, but he is the one that patched up Morgan in season 6, episode 1. So it's kind of similar thing. They kind of worked together and they were hiding in the store, and a nice callback from season 6, episode 8. Season 6, episode 1. But Dakota mentions somebody stocked the shelves with everything I needed when referring to how she patched up Morgan in the store that they're currently in. What she doesn't know is that it was June who gathered all the medical supplies together in the abandoned store back in season 4. So it was June that did that. And when John sees Morgan in the store, it's obviously the first time they've seen each other since the Gulch. But did you notice what John calls the Walkers? Yet another name to call the Walkers, the Past. And I believe he said that in season 4, episode 1, but it happens, is he talking about the past, the past tense or the prior experiences, or he's actually talking about the Walkers? I believe he called the Walkers the past. R.I.P. John Dory. But inside the general store, you see the Ranger come in, and I want to highlight the greeting cards, or the cards on the little display here. But the ones I highlighted from top to bottom, it says 10. I'm going with season 10 of The Walking Dead. The middle one, think positive, like John Dory was all about positivity, except for this episode, he was down in the dumps. And also, Happy Father's Day with a hat like John Dory's. Is that a shout out to his father in real life, but also his father on the show that he talked about a couple times in season 6, but also the photo that Morgan gives him. So I think it's a nice callback to all those things. But ultimately, John Dory is surrounded by red objects in the store. And we know Morgan's not going to die, and I guess they could have killed off Dakota, but that wouldn't make sense for the story. But red, all I see is red. I mean, all different places in this store, but also all over the episode. This Ranger grabs a candy. I'm guessing it's the same candies or very similar candies that John Dory had throughout the series. And remember, John ended up having a cavity and he pulled his own tooth. Maybe, well, this guy ended up dying, so it wouldn't matter. But this guy looks at the wall and he sees the video rental sign-out sheet. And the only one that signed this sheet was John Dory. And if you look at the very bottom, it says the movie and it says Meet John Doe, just like that we talked about on Talking Dead. But John Dory was the only one. And if you see the reviews there, it's pretty funny. It's a pretty cool thing. And it's nice continuity. Like, they range from very good, excellent, too long, too violent, and I can't make out some of those, but they're pretty funny. But the Ranger leaves, and then he's taken out by John Dory later on. And then John stands up, and if you look at the red object right there, I guess that's a life jacket, but it really stands out. I mean, I know life jackets are red, but they're also orange, like just red everywhere. There's a red canister on the ground. Also, I want to highlight that Morgan's wound is, well, the bandage is being held by duct tape. We should see more duct tape in the zombie apocalypse. It's pretty useful, right? But the Ranger comes around, hog ties, calf ropes. What do I call this? What am I saying here? I don't know what to make of it, but it's what Morgan did to the other Rangers, so everything gets a return. What goes around comes around, and it's a nice callback to when Morgan did it early on in the same season to the other Ranger. It happened to Morgan. So like I said, what goes around comes around, right? But John Dory on the bridge here is nothing new. Yet again, 608 is tied to episode 405. John Dory and I think it was Laura at this time she was going by, but June were on the same bridge. And you see the construction blockades and cones and everything to block the walkers. I guess Morgan found more of them to block more walkers. And if you look at the Jeep in the very far right of the picture, that was John or June's Jeep. It was their previous Jeep, but John was in this same Jeep killing a walker and it stayed there, right? Also, John has a knife in this photo taking out the walker. He's in the flannel right here. What happened to that knife? He hasn't really used the knife much on the show. He could have used it in this episode. Also, the red rag that he cleans his guns with after he kills the walkers with the handle of the guns. They find the red clip. And obviously, we know about the stuff with Dakota and Morgan. That was obviously said on the show, so I'm not going to cover that. These are things you might not have caught. Again, John Dory with the rag there. And if you don't believe about the red theory, that's okay. But I just can't highlight it enough that the red objects are clearly connected with death on this show. Time and time again, whether you believe it or not. Now, June puts down Walker John, or Johnny Walker, I like to lovingly call him, and it's kind of sad. It reminds a lot of people of Luciana and Nick, and both things with Charlie and Nick and Dakota and John. Well, we all can agree that Dakota needs to look at the flowers, but they said this on Talking Dead, that Ginny, Colby Minifie, who plays Ginny, believes that Virginia's ruthless leadership style might have given Dakota the wrong idea. And they also write, she thinks killing is just a normal part of life, which I think scares the S out of Virginia. But I don't know, I just feel like there's more to this character. Like, did she kill their parents? We'll have to see if it comes out, but Dakota needs to look at the flowers. Now, June being connected with this, her husband just got killed. And I see connected like Glenn and Maggie, and Glenn's death made Maggie stronger and a different character. And I could see the same thing happening with June. If you saw this photo for the back half of season 6, we'll see this in an upcoming episode. But look at the hat, look at the outfit, but mainly look at the hat. It reminds a lot of people of Comic Andrea. So will June become a badass like Comic Andrea? I hope so. But there you go, guys. Did you catch these things from season 6, episode 8, and I guess future episodes of Fear the Walking Dead? But man, season 6, episode 8 was a good episode. It's sad that John died, but it's for the story. The writers put that in there for it. John Dory was on board with it, and it just makes sense for future development of the characters that are staying on the show. But it sucks because I love John. You love John? Well, hopefully you do. But either way, did you catch these things? Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. And was there anything I missed? Again, I didn't highlight the main obvious things that were covered in the episode. It's, the nooks and crannies and the deep dive into the episode. But thank you guys. Stay safe and tell them, Daryl.